Is everyone ready?
Yep.
Okay. I will call the virtual regular Board of Education meeting to order. We have 6 members present. Ellen will be joining us shortly. Would you all please listen to me say the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'm going to welcome everyone to our meeting this afternoon and begin with some board introductions. I'm Kathy Becker. I don't even know where we want to go. Vince?
Vince Greiner. Good afternoon, everyone.
Shirley?
Shirley Chancellor, welcome everybody.
Jim?
You're
Jim, are you
muted,
there?
Jim.
Unmute yourself.
Okay.
Are you here?
Hear me now?
Yep.
Yep.
I hear you now.
Good afternoon. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. Mark?
Yes, I'm Mark. Hi.
Hi. All right.
Mark.
We need we will begin with approval of the agenda as printed.
I'll make the motion, Kathy.
I'll support the motion.
Motion is made and supported. All in favor, please signify by, oh, do we need to do roll call, right? I think. Trace on this? We're not. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Very good.
We need approval of the consent agenda. It consists of payment of bills, minutes of the regular meeting, several resignations, and accepting some grants.
I'll make the motion.
Is there
Support.
support?
I'll support.
Motion's made and supported. This we will do a roll call vote because it's action. Shirley?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Vince?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion carries. Dr. Jeffrey, do you have an informational report for us?
I absolutely do. Good evening and welcome, everybody. First item in my report is the academic spotlight. And I certainly think with the events of the last 11 or 12 months, it's appropriate for us to have some discussion around virtual learning. And so Josh and Chad have a short presentation for us on that topic. And in order to keep the meeting moving along, I'll pass it over to Josh, and I think we'll get to Chad pretty quickly.
Yeah, we're going to Chad really quick. Yeah, we're excited to present. Chad, everybody knows, is a outstanding employee of ours. He goes above and beyond all the time. And thanks, Mark. We talked about this really quickly. We thought it'd be a great idea and a great time to give you guys a little demo lesson on what virtual learners might experience in some districts. So Chad's going to be like the teacher and give us some cool things of what kids are doing right now when they're learning at home. So Chad, you want to take over?
Yeah, so basically Josh set it up perfect. The idea is to kind of allow you to experience what virtual learning feels like from a student's perspective. And then as we go through the different parts of the lesson, I'll kind of walk you through why the teacher's doing what they're doing in the lesson. So you kind of get a whole experience. So this was just a slide I put on there. You know, I think it's really important that we recognize that technology can never replace great teachers, but technology in the hands of great teachers can be transformational. So the first thing I want to show is the environment that our students in our area are working in. There's 2 really online learning environments being utilized in our area, Canvas and Google Classroom. Both work similar. The idea is it's a place for the teachers to communicate with the students. So this is an example of a Google Classroom that we use. And it basically has on the home page here a place to make announcements to the students, a place to send out assignments and collect them and send out materials that are being utilized during learning, a place to contact people for emails and even parents and guardians, and then a place for grades. So it's really just your online classroom. And that's where the learning starts. Now, what we're going to do today is just a example lesson. So think of it as in a learning environment like this, it would be one of these little dots that you click on to start your lesson for the day. And this is an example of a synchronous lesson, which means the students and the teachers will be experiencing the learning at the same time. So I took a 5th grade lesson, something that we worked on. You know, good teaching is good teaching regardless of the environment. So if we don't identify a goal, how will we know if we're successful? So the first thing that usually happens is we identify a goal. In this example, the students are going to be able to explain conductors and insulators and how they're used in everyday life. And to set up the next piece here, what we're going to do is we're going to watch a video. In order to know how conductors and insulators affect everyday life, we need to know what conductors and insulators are. So the next slide here would be a video. In a digital or in a distance learning environment, this could have been sent out earlier for the students to watch before class starts. This could be watched as a class together. I'm not going to make you guys watch it because it's a 5-minute quick video on what conductors and insulators are. But the reason why this video was chosen is because it is very focused, it's concise, it's less than 5 minutes long, and we know that we need to keep our students engaged. It's been edited and clipped to fit the exact needs of the lesson. So the idea is that through this video, you would know that conductors transfer heat quickly, insulators slow the transfer of heat. Oops, and I said we weren't going to watch this, so let's go to the next one. So then we also know the next piece is that students need to apply the knowledge that any new learning that they get. So this would be an activity that could be done in a distance learning environment. You could ask the students, take 5 minutes to walk around your house looking for examples of insulators and conductors. Make a list to see how many examples you can come up with. And then you'll notice the second piece of this is that as a teacher, I'm identifying when you come back, there's an accountability piece. When we return to the meet, we're going to discuss, in 5 minutes, we're going to discuss what you selected from your home environment. So take a second to think about things in your home, pretending that you're a 5th grade student, that could be conductors, examples of conductors, and or insulators. Okay, so now here's the meat and potatoes of a lesson. And Dr. Forner, you know this one, Mr. Horowski, Amy, we all know this piece. The formative assessment is the biggest piece of teaching. We have to have those formative assessments to push our students further. Otherwise, we won't know what to do next. Otherwise you're just a TV box talking to your students. So this next activity, I'm actually going to take you guys into it. I'm going to send it to you. You're going to get a link in the chat box of our meeting here. And when you click on the link, it's going to take you to a tool called Jamboard. And I call this my Swiss Army knife of tools here because Jamboard can be used for so many different things in the classroom. And for today's activity, what you're going to do is on the left-hand side of your Jamboard, there are some tools. Feel free to play with them a little bit. The one that we're going to utilize the most is the sticky note tool here on the left-hand side. When you click on it, it's going to bring up your sticky note. And then you can choose the colors at the top. And you can type in to the sticky note anything you want to type. So think about those conductors and insulators. Place a red sticky note for any interesting conductors you found in your house. Place a blue sticky note listing any insulators. So here is the link in the chat. And this is, we use Google Meets in our schools, so this is exactly what the process would look like in a school. The students would have a little chat in the top, and when you click on that, it will take you to the Jamboard, and I can see as the teacher, I'm watching people jump into this meeting, into this Jamboard. And I realize that none of you have used any of these tools before, so feel free to explore. You're not going to hurt anything here. This is really for you to see kind of what students in our region are experiencing and some of the neat things that we're doing here. So. And while you're adding your sticky notes, I'll kind of walk you through what the teacher would be thinking and doing. As a teacher, I'm watching the sticky notes come in. I would have shared this in a way so that instead of being anonymous at the top, it would tell me what the students' names are, so I could watch which students are placing which sticky notes. I would be watching to notice any mistakes being made so that I can address them. Anything interesting that I have a question about, because the next step we're going to do is we're going to have a discussion about the different sticky notes that I'm seeing on here. And so I might be watching for some of these stickies that I want to call out as exemplary ideas. Okay, and we got a bunch of them on here. So I'm going to stop for a second here and ask, you know, I see on here somebody put curling iron, which is an example. Whoever put the curling iron on there, if you feel comfortable, please unmute. And can you explain why you chose curling iron and used a red sticky note for that?
It was the only thing I could think of in time. And I knew that you would tell me if it was right or wrong.
Awesome. So, and honestly, guys, I'm running you through this pretty quick because I have 10 minutes to share this with you. In a classroom environment, we'd be going a lot slower. You know, you'd have had a list of things that you could be looking through right now. The idea is I want to show you what this online world, how this can look. So we could go more. Somebody put spouse in here as an insulator. We're going to skip over that one. I think I can figure that one out there. And excellent. So that would be an example. Now, in a classroom environment, what I could do is when we're done, this doesn't go anywhere. When I close this, I still have access to it. So I can come back to it. And if there's any individual needs that need addressing, I can come back to it and take care of those. And then the final piece of any activity, you know, now I have an idea in my head of how our class has done on this learning target, because I just did an activity with you and I saw that the majority of our class understands conductors and insulators. The final step here is going to be an assignment. And for this assignment, what I put together, and you guys don't have to do this, this is just something I was going to show you for the last piece here. In Google Classroom, what we're allowed to do, and Canvas allows the same thing, what we're allowed to do is we can create a template, send it out to the students, they can complete that template and send it back to us. And for us as teachers, that gives us almost like a pop quiz, or it's almost like when you hand a piece of paper to a student, they do it, they put their name on the top and they hand it to you, except it puts their name on there. So you don't have to have that conversation every day about remembering to put your name on the paper. So this might be an activity that you assign to your students to do on their own. You can see here there's a link to a website that the students can click on. These are all the vocabulary words in science that we've covered so far this year. As they scroll down, there's some different examples of the different vocabulary terms. And really this assignment is just asking the students to draw a picture of one of the words, vocabulary terms that you choose. And then tomorrow when we start class and there's that weird transition time while we're waiting for everybody to log in, we're going to play a game. I'm going to choose some of these Pictionaries that you signed in, and we're going to try and figure out what people were putting and what they were choosing. So this is just an example of what online learning could look like. You know, this would probably be a half an hour to a 45-minute long lesson. The assignment at the end would be another 10 minutes for a total of about an hour-long lesson here. So I'm going to stop here. I know, you know, you guys have been supporting us all through all this. Does anybody have any questions for me? This is what I'm in the buildings doing with teachers, you know, showing them how to do this kind of stuff. We have fantastic teachers out there. It's really cool to see the ideas that they come up with when we hand them these tools. Are there any questions for me?
No questions, Chad, just a comment. Chad's quite modest. He's just done a phenomenal job. If you imagine taking a teacher who's maybe a 20 or 25-year veteran, who suddenly has said, well, you got to change the way you're teaching. You have to do it with a computer via the internet. Chad he's one of these guys that he doesn't talk down to people. He's incredibly patient. He'll sit side by side, shoulder to shoulder, in a non-threatening way. And let me tell you, that's quite a skill set. So he's really done, I can't speak for other locals, but I can speak for Mason County Eastern. He and Josh both have just done a fabulous job supporting our teachers.
Thank you, Dr. Forner.
Thank you for that, Mark, and thank you, Chad, for the demonstration. It certainly is easier to understand when we can actually see it. So I appreciate you bringing that to us. Thank you, Josh.
Are you ready for part 2, President Becker?
I believe we are.
Okay, excuse me. So part 2 is have a little discussion on Board Appreciation Month. I think as everybody here probably knows that the state and the Michigan Association of School Boards have identified January as School Board Recognition Month. And it certainly is appropriate for us to take just a minute or two and thank our board members for the work that they do year in and year out. Board members, through your servant leadership, you have committed to long hours, low pay, and sometimes tough decisions on behalf of our young people and educators. And on behalf of West Shore ESD, all of our staff, I wanted to take a moment and thank you for that service. Now, it certainly gets better than the superintendent's thank you, and we're doing a virtual meeting, so it's a little bit different than maybe what we've done in the past. But Tracy has been working with the culinary program, and so the students and staff are busy, and we will find a way to get to you some cookies and bread that the students individually packaged. So that is coming. And Vince, I will try to remember to bring yours since I'm going to see you tomorrow. I can take that off Tracy's to-do list. So culinary provided that for each of you. And we also have a short video that Josh is going to bring up. And the video was created by our special education staff. And then thanks to the skill set that I think Chad was demonstrating, we were able to get that over to digital media at CTE. And then Tasha and Megan were able to involve the CTE programs. So those two things are way better than anything I could say. So Josh, let's bring the video up and highlight the students.
Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, school board. Thank you.
Shoot.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Josh, for playing that. And what a great message from our students and staff.
Oh, nice.
Two more items on Board Appreciation Month. First, as you are all aware, Dr. Pat Collins has made the decision to resign from our Board of Education after 25 years of service. I think looking at her bio on our website, I think she was closer to 32 years of service in the Pentwater District, something along those lines. So that's pretty amazing public service. And so I thought that it was fitting to, mention Pat as we're talking about celebrating Board Appreciation Month. As you know, Pat is enjoying a little sunshine in Florida and is looking to enjoy a little bit more of that. So we're really happy for her that, and maybe just a titch jealous that she gets to have that opportunity right now. In terms of her vacancy, so everyone knows, tomorrow morning, well, first we've contacted the state and made all of those compliance contacts that we need to make. And tomorrow morning, we will post that vacancy on the website. And much like we did when Dr. Forner joined our board, we'll have about a 2-week period where we collect letters of interest from individuals who might want to serve, and then we'll bring those individuals before the board and make a decision in February, and we will be within that 30-day window. So just a little information in case that process was on anybody's mind, and I think details with that will probably be determined based on how many applicants we have. If we only have a couple, then it may be easier to be a little bit more informal and review those letters of application and potentially have some dialogue before you all decide. And if we have 20 applicants, we may have to find Kathy and I will work together to find a process that will streamline it a little bit. But at any rate, we'll get things taken care of next month. Last item to mention, unless there are any questions, and that is that through Vice President Greiner's leadership and connections in the agricultural community in Oceana County, tomorrow he and I are going to spend some time with the leadership down at the West Michigan Research Station. And our mission is to see how we might be able to find some educational connections for West Shore ESD and that really, really neat project that's happening down in Hart. And I think for those of you, if you haven't seen it, Josh has a picture he's going to bring up. And I don't know, Vince, if you have anything you want to add to that, but this seemed like a great time to mention it.
Yeah, this picture's about a month ago, and that was constructed all through the summer. They began early in the spring, and in fact, they were held up for 3 or 4 weeks because of the pandemic closures. But it is primarily, or it is put together by the fruit industry in Newaygo, Oceana, and Mason counties. And it is a research station for Michigan State University Ag Bio Research. As you can see by the sign, that's some of us oldsters may remember that more as the Agricultural Experiment Station, but that's the name it has been given about 6 or so years ago. And funding sources, a big one is the Michigan Free Fruit Commission, which is a grower-supported checkoff funded that way since about 2015, I think, is when that started up. And that growers of cherries, peaches, apples, and plums contribute through with automatic withdrawals from their payments for their products to fund this type of research. Also, the receivers of the fruit processors are also involved in that. Peterson Farms is really the one that spearheaded the whole project and got it going, and they are still very involved. And we're meeting tomorrow with Dr. Jeffrey and I are meeting tomorrow with Richard Raffaelli, who's the COO of Peterson Farms, as well as you've invited the Shelby and Hart superintendents as well, I believe. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And so I think last I heard, they're planning on having like a public tour or whatever in about 3 weeks. Is at almost that completed of a stage. But I think Richard said something about we'd be able to get our own tour tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that. I've been driving past it, all summer long and so forth, but I haven't really even driven in to snoop around. So I'll get that opportunity tomorrow. But we thought this would be something that would provide an educational opportunity for our students. I know that this type of research requires usually a graduate student to do a lot of the data collection, for example. And that's one thing we have is students available to do that type of thing. That was my first thought. I know there's a lot of other uses. I know our ag program a lot of it is livestock based now, not really in the fruit area. This might be an opportunity to pursue that type of disciplinary teaching as well. So anyway, there's a lot of things, and this fits our educational mission as well. Overlaps us, two of the counties that this project is dedicated to respond to. So.
Thanks, Vince, for filling in the blanks a little bit with it. Looking forward to it, and we'll try to, make a few comments in an upcoming update so the board continues to be informed about how things turn out with that. Any other questions before I go on to the last piece or comments? Okay, so the last part of my report this evening is just our required COVID-19 extended learning plan details. This information begins on page 15 in your packet. The plan for the Great Start Readiness Program, CTE, and special education is going to continue, with no changes, for the foreseeable future. Two-way interaction rates for the period of November 23rd through December 14th for all three of those programs range between about 81% to about 97%. And again, that's looking at all programs. Also, at this point in the year, we are required to report on what we've done in terms of training for virtual content. So that would not only be with our staff members, and it really ties in nicely with what Chad shared, but also in terms of how we've trained parents and students. And that information starts on page 17 and goes through page 20 in your packet. But just to bottom line it, we've had about 50 trainings that fit that description between mid-September and today. So there is a lot going on with that. That's just a little bit about the COVID-19 extended learning plan. And again, these are things that are probably being shared and discussed at every board meeting, at least, they're supposed to be. So we wanted to provide that information to you, but that's all I have unless there are any questions. And thanks I know it was a long report this month, so thanks for bearing with me.
Any other questions for Jason? If not, Jason, please thank our staff and students for that wonderful video. It was phenomenal. It was, we always get their little, the cards and the things that they make, they always share this, but looking at their little smiling faces and their cute different masks was better than just getting the pieces of paper. So please thank them for us. And
yeah, I will absolutely do that, Kathy. And that was all them. So
all right.
Important that they get
Vince, if you'll keep us posted, thanks for your part in your road trip tomorrow. And it sounds like a great opportunity for our kids. So,
yeah,
moving on.
For me, it's only about a mile away.
From your house?
So.
Yeah, you don't have too much of a road trip then. So, okay, any other questions or comments? If not, moving on, do we have any written communications this evening?
The written communication was provided previously, and it was just around Pat's resignation from the board. And I think everybody remembered there was an email about that. That's all we have.
Okay. And I don't know if we have any citizens present who would like to make any comments, but this is your opportunity if you have anything you want to share with us. Okay. Hearing none. And I do believe I saw that Ellen joined our meeting. Is that correct? All right. So we've made a note of that in the minutes then that she is with us. We'll then move on to our other reports, beginning with the instructional services update. Amy?
Yep. Good evening, everyone. Our report begins on page 21 of your packet. The beginning there just highlights various PD we offered in December. And you can see Chad, again, is offered a PD for our GSRP staff as well. So not only are our K-12 teachers and CTE teachers taking advantage of this, but our preschool teachers have expectations about teaching virtually as well, and Chad's been supporting them. Also want to draw your attention to the West Shore Area Visual Arts training that happened. We paired with Associate Professor Foley out at West Shore Community College to actually offer a really nice series for our local art teachers, which we know because we're a small area, there aren't a lot of them. And so every time we can have an opportunity to provide them something. And this was a really neat project stemming from the recent Black Lives Matters, things that studied the history of Idlewild and tied that into various art interpretations. So it was a very cool and timely project with that. So had a lot also going on with distribution of materials out to communities. So you can see the Great Start Collaborative. Sarah Jerusalem reported out on the Talking is Teaching initiative. We were able to distribute a lot of materials and merchandise related to that. And as you can tell by how cute those are, it was very well received by the daycares and childcare and GSRP programs that went to. We also paired with Meyer. Meyer generously donated the materials for us to put together Play-Doh kits to get out to local families in Baldwin, the majority of which went to Baldwin County, but also to our other counties, gave them everything to make homemade Play-Doh. So we are very thankful to Meyer for that donation. And we're also very thankful to the transportation department who, given the COVID situation, were reassigned for a few days to help us pack up those kits. And you can see the pictures there, but it was great having them in the office, and they were very cheerful and excited about that project as well. And then moving into GSRP, we also were able to put together Connect for Learning, which is our second year of that curriculum. We were able to put together a really nice resource kit for every GSRP student that we service in all 3 counties. And that went out right before Christmas as well. We didn't know what would happen after the break with outbreaks of COVID. So we thought, let's get something out in case there's closures or things, but also for a way to parents to support at home, even if kids are attending in person. So you can see the picture of that as well. And lastly, we have staffing updates. We have 2 GSRP associate teachers we're looking to hire for Shelby. I know Shelby is looking forward to have them join the staffing. Those openings have been open quite a while. And present with us today, we're looking for your approval to hire Justine Altman. Justine, if you want to raise your hand. Justine will be our new Great Start parent liaison, and we reconfigured that position a little differently. Instead of having 3 different parent liaisons, one for each county, we've combined that together, and Justine will be servicing all 3 of those counties in her new role. So she originally comes from France and lives here in Ludington now. So we think that'll bring a really great perspective to this role as well. So we welcome Justine with your approval. And then also Jamie Yenshar is here as well. And we are adding to our team of 31N social workers, which again provides services to kids that don't yet qualify or may never qualify for special ed services and don't require an IEP. So the hope is that we give them the interventions they need early so they may never even reach that level. So now with having a 3rd person, it's really great that those 3 staff members can concentrate a little more on the districts they're assigned versus being spread real thin throughout. So Jamie will be assigned to the Hart and Shelby districts down in Oceana County. And so we welcome both of them again with your approval. Any questions?
No, hearing none. Thank you, Amy. And I
Yep.
certainly want to welcome Justine and Jamie to our West Shore ESD family.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Are we ready with a special ed, Kim?
We are. Thank you, Madam President. Brief update for special education this evening, given the programs were off for a couple of weeks for holiday break. So we have an update on student enrollment starting on page 24. This has been an unusual year for our districts with students not physically attending in the building quite as much. So we wanted to verify the whereabouts and safety of our 26 students who were enrolled last spring but aren't with us this year. And we're happy to report that they're all accounted for. And you can see the details of that on page 25. Further down the page on 25 still, we have a couple of retirements. Carol Phelps, our special education supervisor, planner, monitor, retired on December 31st, as did Sherry Lundberg, teacher consultant. So we want to thank Carol and Sherry for their years of dedication to our students with special needs. Any questions for special education?
I don't hear
thank
any.
you.
Thank you, Kim. We appreciate it. Dale, career and technical education, please.
Thank you, Madam President. The CTE report begins at the bottom of page 25. Chad gave us a real nice setup tonight to look at how students experience virtual learning. And he helped CTE teachers do the very things he described, how to embed videos, either ones that they made themselves or ones that they got from other sources, and customize them in there. And then also the Jamboard functions. So that's a good view of that part of the experience. For CTE though, instructors try to find opportunities, kind of like Play-Doh, but for bigger kids, to have some sort of hands-on experience kits in the hands of the students. And you have a couple examples in the packet. One was for construction trades, where students were delivered the components to engineer and build a truss system, a miniature model of a truss. And you have to do this in materials that they can access, but also tools that are safe to use and simple at home with the instructions. And so the construction students built those trusses. Then they brought them back in when we came back in person and tested them out with some pressure testing to see which ones hold up. And they had a little contest to see which ones work best, and then to talk about the physics behind why they work and why they don't work. And so that was pretty inventive. Hats off to the construction guys, Aaron Tarson, Tommy Winchesky, for doing that. And then also you see the pie kits. Those were made at home by students with materials delivered to them, and instructions and video instructions on how to make those pies around the holidays. So I appreciate the instructors and their inventiveness to do that at home. The rest of the report contains some requests for bids on some equipment. One of our jobs at CTE is to make sure that we continually look at how to upgrade our equipment to meet industry standards, and we've got a couple of pieces in there. The first one is for the 3D printer for mechatronics. You heard a presentation about the robotics in mechatronics at last month's meeting. And the 3D printer is closely allied to that. This printer will give the capability to use other materials like carbon fiber and make a more professional product. And we favor this particular piece of equipment because it's used by a local industry change parts, and kind of matches up with advisory board recommendations for that piece. The paper cutter for graphic communications is important. We've deferred purchase on that for a few years here. It's been in our plan for replacement of that piece of equipment. The old one is quite old and does not have the safety features that you want on a current piece of equipment. And in fact, it's not something that we would let students even handle at this point. So that's been in our plan to do that. We want to make that move on that now to replace that cutter with the safety equipment. You'll notice on the bid that the bid that we're recommending has the same base price as the other bids, but this also includes removal of the old unit, which is heavy and large, and it's something we really can't do ourselves, and also the training with that unit. And those items were available with this bid. So that is my report. I'll be happy to entertain questions.
Sorry, any questions for Dale? If not, thank you for your report. We appreciate it. I will then entertain a motion that we approve the low bid with Hawk Ridge Systems for the 3D printer in the amount of $20,150 as presented.
I'll make the motion, Kathy.
Thank you, Shirley. Is there support?
Yeah, I'll support the motion to purchase.
Okay, is there any discussion? We will then proceed with voting. Shirley?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Vince?
Yes.
Ellen? Ellen, are you there?
I could hear her in the background.
Yeah, I
Okay.
could see her, but it looks like she just disconnected.
Okay, well, we'll count that as a yes. If you could see her.
I saw her
And,
lips say yes.
There you go. The chair votes yes, motion carries. We then need a motion to approve the bid with Midstate Lithrow for the paper cutter in the amount of $27,990.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Jim. Is there support?
I'll support
the
it.
motion.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All right, we will begin voting. Shirley?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Vince?
Yes.
Ellen? You having technical difficulties? Okay,
I'll try to check with her, Kathy. I don't see her anymore.
all right.
Yeah. She's
No,
not
all
connected.
right. Okay, maybe she's having an issue with her internet or something. So the chair votes yes, and so the motion does carry then. We'll move on then to our business office update. Carrie, are you there?
Yes, thank you, Madam President.
There she is.
My report begins on page 28. And I guess let's start with Josh's actually on page 31. So Dr. Forner was spot on with our technology department. They're very humble, all of them, but kind of the magic men, you know, behind the scenes helping make stuff happen, whether it's in the classroom, a board meeting, in a virtual professional meeting, etc. So I always chuckle when I read Josh's report because I know that even though he might have just 4 bullets of activity, there's a lot more going behind the scenes because these guys are pretty humble about how awesome they are. So, so page 31 are a few of the activities going on in the technology department. You can see that one of the things that they're working on is a phone system for Baldwin schools. We do have a few other of our local districts that are currently on our phone system, Mason County Eastern being one of them. So this is a fantastic opportunity for our local district to save some funds and be on a high quality system as well. And so then if we can circle back to page 28, the beginning of my report, health and safety updates. So since the writing of this report, I just want you guys to know that we also have heard from Spectrum Health. They're interested in coordinating with us too, so that if they have vaccines available, that we can hopefully get our staff the opportunity to participate in their vaccine as well as district health departments vaccine opportunities too. We did have a group of our service providers that are really closely related to some of the high health needs of our students that were given the opportunity to get their vaccine last Friday. We're still trying to collect that data on how many were actually vaccinated, because we did hear from our staff that they ran out of vaccines. So not sure that there was a high number really, but just want you to know we're still continuing to work with both Spectrum and District Health Department to provide that opportunity for our staff to hopefully provide a safe environment going forward. Secondly, at the bottom of page 6, page 28 is the 6-point plan update. So part of our planned activities for this year has been related to organizational health. And so, the first paragraph really comes from our strategic plan planning document, highlighting the necessity for organizational health and how, really it's foundational to increasing our capacity to educate students within our programs and also support our local school districts that we serve as well. So part of this year's plan for the 6-point plan update is to implement communication best practices. So, through some of Dr. Jeffrey's previous communications, we've been working with School Communicators Network on a communications audit. A couple other things that were in discussions with them as a strategic communication framework and also some updates to our website. And so really to enhance that work and continue to facilitate all 3 of those strategies, we would like approval from you to move forward with a further contract with School Communicators Network. Thus far, we've just been doing it, operating on a case-by-case basis in terms of our needs with School Communicators Network. But we feel like we're at that point where we have a good strategy. And so if you look at page 30, you can see the outline of that contract with School Communicators Network. And really a few things that I wanted to highlight on page 30 is the background information. So those 4 bullets that are noted there, those came from the communications audit. And really it's, the 4 common themes are, noted there. And then the key deliverables too of the School Communicators Network as well, what we hope to gain from it. And just in a nutshell, really what it is, trying to enhance those relationships with our local school districts, and taking on that theme of being proud to partner with our local districts. Additionally, too, it's focusing on some of those internal and external communications. You'll recall from our previous strategic plan work that was something that was noted, that an area for us to improve upon as well. So we feel that this contract with School Communicators Network can really enhance some of the work that we already have in process. And put us in, a better position to serve our locals and our greater West Shore ESD community too. So, so we're asking for your approval to move forward with that contract through June 30 of 2021 in the dollar amount of $28,500. So I'll stop there and see if any of you have any questions regarding the contract or anything else in my report. You're muted, Mrs. Becker.
No other questions? Okay. Thank you very much, Carrie.
Thank you.
I think we all know that we've been talking about marketing being something that we were in need of for a while. So I think this is a timely request. So with that, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the contract with School Communicators Network through June 2021, not to exceed 28,500.
This is Dittmer. I'll so move.
I'll support Jim's motion.
Okay, motion's made and supported. Any discussion? All right, vote will, excuse me, we'll proceed with voting. Shirley,
Yes.
Jim? Jim?
Excuse me, yes.
Thank you. Mark?
Yes.
Vince?
Yes.
Is Ellen back with us, Tracy? No? Okay. Chair votes yes, motion carries. All right, and I believe Dr. Jeffrey is going to give us Polly's report.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a brief version of the HR report. Thanks for your support on the communication item. And as you know, Polly was ill today, and that was not planned. I think we certainly wish her a speedy recovery. The key item in her report that I want to call your attention to is the second reading of Board Policy 2305, and that's on 43 if you want to take a peek at it. But basically, we brought this item before the policy committee previously. This would allow us, if we ever get back to traveling to board conferences like the MASB conference, to actually fully reimburse your costs. So I don't know if anybody from the policy committee wants to comment, but it was something that they recommended adoption of, and here we have a second read of it. So hopefully we'll be traveling at some point soon. And this is an action item for later in the agenda, but if anybody has any questions, I will certainly try to answer them.
Any questions for Dr. Jeffrey about Polly's report? Okay. With that, then we also need to approve the, excuse me, reconfirmation of the extended learning plan that was provided earlier in the meeting. Someone care to make a motion?
I'll make the motion, Kathy.
Thank you, Shirley. Is there support?
I'll support it.
Thank you. Any discussion? We'll proceed with voting. Shirley?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Vince?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. Motion carries. Next on our agenda is a special education millage presentation. Some of our local stars are going to provide that for us.
I think, Carrie, are you going to share your screen for the report? Okay, thanks for bringing it up. While Carrie's bringing that up on the screen, for those of you that have served multiple terms on the board, it may be hard to believe that almost 8 years has passed and it's time for us to talk about the special education renewal once again. But here we are. And I can't see Carrie's screen. I can still see everybody, but now that she's sharing that, that's a great picture of Lisa Van Duren's class that was taken recently, that was part of their class Christmas card that we wanted to make sure that we included in the presentation. And you can see a few of the students there with Lisa and the team. So that's what you see on the cover of our presentation. If you go to the second slide, okay, there it is. If you go to the second slide, Tuesday, May 4th is the day that, we would like to, once again, bring this issue before the voters. Yep, there it is. And internally, when we've been having this discussion, we've been teasing each other a little bit and saying, this is about 3 counties, 2,000 square miles, 1,400 special education students, 9 public school districts, and 1 us, and that is we need to vote on May 4th, 2021. So if we go to the next slide. So obviously the millage request is a big deal, and it's important enough that, we wanted to spend a little time on it tonight. So the plan is that Kim and I will give you a quick overview of the ballot proposal. And again, before the meeting ends, we're going to ask for your approval, which obviously we need, so that we can bring the request before the voters. So that's really what we're doing here. And before I turn it over to Carrie, when we begin to have our community conversations, there are two things that we know that we're going to emphasize. And the first one is this is not a tax increase. This is simply this is a renewal, and we're simply asking to continue with what has generously been provided before. And the second piece is that we are grateful to the voters for supporting our most needy and vulnerable students. Every time we've asked, 4 times in the last 30 years. So those are parts of this that we think are really, really important. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the details in terms of the financial side of this. And Kim's going to talk a little bit about some of the programming pieces, but we just we felt that this was important enough to talk about it a little bit with the board before we asked you if we could get the referendum back on the ballot. So Carrie?
Yeah, so you can see here on this slide, under current property tax values, this 1 mil renewal generates about $3.4 million annually for our special education programs and services in the 3 counties that we serve. Along with that, this 1 mil renewal, what happens in our local school districts is it provides some relief to their general funds in that it covers, their special education costs that are not reimbursed by state or federal government or any other means. And so Kim's going to pass it along for a little more information on the programs and services, and we'll talk a little more about finance again later. So Kim?
Sure. These are the 9 public school districts that receive the reimbursements from the millage funds. And all of these districts listed provide special education resource programs in their buildings. So as you can imagine, the reimbursement is beneficial to what they're able to offer in district. School districts are tied to state and federal requirements for providing special education. Our ESD and local districts operate as a consortium to pool our resources to meet these requirements in a cost-effective and efficient manner. The one mil makes this possible. The programs and services provided by the ESD and local districts are quite extensive. Services can begin as early as birth. We offer in-home early interventions, and they continue all the way through age 26 for transition into adulthood.
So you can see in this pie chart, this illustrates really how the $3.4 million that's generated by the 1 mil levy is spent annually. And you can see that almost half, or actually to be exact, 47% goes back to our local school districts. And as mentioned previously, this is to reimburse their a portion of their special education costs that aren't able to be reimbursed in any other form. So, therefore providing some relief to their general funds. Additionally, this chart, what this represents is the annual district reimbursements to local districts. And actually we've provided a little more than just the annual too, just for some more information for you folks. So you can see the breakdown by district on the left. The amounts for each district, they vary from year to year because they're based on special education student counts for each respective school year. The first column in this chart represents the 8-year annual range. So you can see at the bottom, we've been passing through every year between 1.6 million and $2 million. The middle column highlights the current year pass-through of $1.6 million by district. And then the column on the far right, this is the 8-year total. So, really just demonstrating to you that over the past 8 years, we've passed through $13.3 million to our local district partners. And so, as I previously mentioned, you can imagine this has had a significant impact on the a significant positive impact to the general fund of our local school districts.
Okay, 1,400 students with disabilities throughout our 3 counties. That's 1 out of every 6 children who benefit from special education programs and services that the millage supports. Essentially, we all benefit, though, by investing in the future of our children. In special education, we have 13 disability categories shown on the slide. As you might expect, addressing the unique needs of students with any of these disabilities takes highly trained staff. This is another great example of what the 1 Mill supports. The ESD also operates 16 programs sprinkled throughout our 3 counties and local districts and here at the ESD Developmental Center. We're set up this way so that local districts and the ESD can pool resources to provide the necessary programs, equipment, and highly skilled staff to meet the needs of our students with moderate and severe impairments. These are a few of the services we provide to students. The local districts and the ESD again pool resources in this area to meet the needs of the students in a cost-effective and efficient manner. Most districts do not need a full-time person in these roles. In addition, these areas usually have a critical shortage, meaning it's hard to find somebody who has the qualifications for this role. So our partnership approach makes the most sense for meeting the needs of our students. The funds generated from the 1 Mill are essential to continuing this model. Jason, I think you're on mute, maybe.
Well, some people may have appreciated that, but you really for this slide, what we're asking from you for tonight is just for approval by resolution, so we can move forward and put this on the ballot. And if you look in your packet on page 45 through 48, I'm sure you've already seen it, but you can see exactly what that looks like. So that action will take place under recommendations from the superintendent, which we're going to get to in just a couple minutes. And then if we go to the next slide, that's really there. Thank you for listening to us and considering the content that's in the presentation. Once we get this approved, then I guess let me back up. Certainly, we've been working with the county. We've had preliminary conversations with the local superintendents, and we're putting the committee to renew 1 Mill together. And once we have your approval to move forward with this, one of the next things that you can expect to see from us is a little bit of a more detailed plan with a timeline, for exactly how we're going to go about this. So that's just a little information on where we're headed with this really, really important piece. I don't know if anybody has questions or comments, but if you do, we certainly want to hear them and want to try to answer them.
Anyone have any questions about the presentation? Thank you. Nicely done. All right, we will then move on to recommendations of the superintendent.
Kathy,
Oh, I'm sorry.
real quick, Ellen has rejoined our meeting. She's been in the meeting for probably about 10 minutes. I don't know if we want to go back and ask her about the 2 votes that she missed or just move forward that they passed with.
Do you know which two those were? I didn't note
Yep.
that in mine.
It was the hydraulic
equipment, wasn't
paper
it?
cutter and the contract with the School Communicators Network.
Okay. Ellen, can you hear us?
Oh, yes, I vote yes on both of them.
Okay, thank you
Okay.
very much. And then you can have that reflected in the minutes, Tracy.
All right, thank you.
Welcome back, Ellen.
Thanks.
All right. Dr. Jeffrey, some recommendations?
Yes, some recommendations, and we'll start with personnel. Included in the general education report is a recommendation to employ Sydney Abera as a Great Start Readiness Program teacher, and compensation for the position is in alignment with the GSRP contract, and her resume is in your packet on page 34.
Okay, I will then entertain a motion that we approve the appointment of Sydney Ibarra.
I'll move, we hire Sydney.
I support Jim's motion.
Motion's made and supported. Any discussion? We'll begin voting then. Shirley,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Vince,
Yes.
Ellen,
Yes.
chair votes yes, motion carries.
Okay, next, we would also appreciate your approval so that we can hire Tara Kelly in the GSRP program as an associate teacher. And compensation for that position is also in accordance with the GSRP contract. And her resume is also available in your packet on page 35 and 36.
Okay, I will entertain a motion that we approve the appointment of Tara Kelly. Excuse me.
I'll make the motion, Kathy.
Thank you. Is there support?
Support.
Thank you, Ellen. Any questions? Any discussion? We'll begin voting. Shirley,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Vince,
Yes.
Ellen,
Yes.
chair votes yes, motion carries.
Okay, next on the list is hopefully your approval of Jamie Yanchar's contract to work as a general education social worker. And all the appropriate information is available in your packet on page 37, page 42, and you had the chance to meet Jamie earlier during our meeting.
Yes. All right. Someone care to make a motion that we approve the employment of Jamie Yenchar?
So moved.
Thank you, Ellen. Is there support?
I'll support that.
Any discussion? We'll begin voting. Shirley,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Vince,
Yes.
Ellen,
Yes.
chair votes yes, motion carries.
Okay, and then last on the list in terms of employment contracts for your consideration, we have contracts included in your packet for Justine Altman, who you also met prior to the meeting, and then our contracts with Dale Horowski, and also the short-term contract with Terry.
Okay, would someone like to make a motion then that we approve the employment contracts for Christine, Dale, and Terry as presented?
Can we do those as a group or we do them individually?
Well, these can be as a group, I believe.
I'll move all three.
I'll support.
Is there support?
I
A
support.
motion is made and supported. Any discussion? Got it, Trace? Okay. Motion made by Jim, supported by Shirley, and no discussion. We will begin voting. Shirley?
Yes.
Shirley?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Pat, oh, sorry. Jim?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Vince?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion carries.
Ready for the next?
Okay. I think we're ready,
Okay.
Dr. Jeffrey. I have to grab a power
Okay,
cord. I'll
so-
be right back.
Okay. Tracy, while she's grabbing the power cord, one thing I'm noticing is on our next item, we have a little conflict of dates. We're looking at April 14th on the description and April 13th on the motion. You happen to know which one it is? The 13th.
It's April
is a Tuesday.
13th.
It's the
The 13th.
Tuesday. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
perfect.
April 15th is a Tuesday.
Okay, so the next item on the list is something that's going to be familiar to you. It's our required general fund budget meeting. And we need your approval to schedule that on Tuesday, April 14th at 4:30. And we would be inviting local district superintendent and potentially a representative from their board to attend that meeting and to look at the gen ed budget. General fund budget, excuse me.
Jason, was that the 14th or the 13th?
Okay, we ready for a motion?
Both.
It would be on the 13th, which is the Tuesday. And thanks for asking for clarification, Shirley.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I'll make the motion, Kathy.
Thank you, Shirley. Is there support?
I'll
Support.
Whoever.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All right, we'll begin voting. Shirley?
Yes,
Jim?
yes,
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Vince?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion carries.
Okay, next item is the adoption of board policy 2305. This is the reimbursement policy for expenses for board member travel and conferences.
All right, would someone care to make that motion?
I will. Or did someone else?
Jim made a motion. Is there support?
I'll support it.
Thank you. Any discussion? We'll begin voting then. Shirley?
yes. Yes,
Jim?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Vince?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion carries.
Okay, and last but certainly not least is our resolution calling for a special election. And this is regarding the renewal of the 1 mil levy for special education purposes. The date of the special election would be May 4th, 2021. That's on page 45 through 48 in your packet.
All right. Who would care to make the motion that we adopt the resolution calling for the special ed election?
I will.
Is there
I will,
support?
Kathy.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
That's a Tuesday, is that correct? That's supposed to be a Tuesday? Yeah, I'll support it.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Boy, it's a good thing it wasn't on a Thursday.
All right. We'll begin voting. Shirley?
Yes,
Jim?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Vince?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion carried.
Thank you.
I believe that brings us to the end of our action items. Any other items that anyone wants to bring up? I just want to take this opportunity to thank our retiring staff and certainly for all of us to thank Dr. Collins for her long service to the board. She really was an important member and we will miss her wisdom for sure. And I'm sure that Jason and myself, will be keeping you posted as far as the board position as interested letters come in, and let you know how, if we're going to just be able to address that at one meeting and get the information out to you as it arrives. Okay, hearing nothing else.
I have a
All
question
right.
about the vacancy. Is it only going to be posted on our website? Is it, where else may it be posted, Dr. Jeffrey?
Yeah, typically what we've done is we've posted it on our website, and then I would send an email to all the superintendents, and we would inform them, and they could distribute that as they see fit. They've already verbally made aware that, been made aware, so they've had some time to think about this. And to this point, we've had 2 people inquire, just so everybody knows.
Just a point, Jason, you gotta be careful of the number of board members that can serve from one individual district.
Yep, we are aware of that, and that is something that will be included in the notification so that folks that are interested understand, that they might not be able to be considered, if they live in one of the 2 districts where we have 2 board members living. So thanks for reminding us. And Tracy was on top of that one when we talked about it last week. So.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, everyone, thank you for coming. Stay safe. Meeting's adjourned.
Have a great night, everybody. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Night. Glad to see you for a minute, Ellen.
Oh, thanks. But now I've gotten my first shot, so
Hey, I'm going tomorrow.
how are you?